Welcome to Leadership Legacy Radio, where we inspire you to live your dreams, encourage you to take massive action, and be your authentic and genuine self. We focus on 3 pillars. That's empowering youth, equipping leaders, and enriching marriages so that you can go out and dominate your space.
If you're ready to dominate, you're listening to the right show. This is the Leadership Legacy Radio. Now let's go.
All right.
Hello,
Cool. All right, so let us know where you're from. Drop your favorite emoji.
Yes.
Today is the celebration emoji is the one with either the star eyes or the let us know.
Yes.
Let us know.
Again, tell Christian happy birthday, guys. Today's my favorite guy in the whole world birthday. And he is 22.
22 and fighting. How you guys doing tonight? So tonight is marriage night.
Yes.
Tonight we're talking
subject.
about marriage. And so what do you want to talk about tonight?
We are going to be talking, like Christian said, about marriage and mainly the subject of environment. So with that being said, I had a question for everybody that's watching. I want to know, what is the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person? What separates people that are successful and people that are unsuccessful? What does that look like? What are those particulars that separates the successful and the unsuccessful? Everybody's saying happy birthday, Chris. Yay. Awesome.
So what is what defines a successful person from unsuccessful?
From an unsuccessful person,
okay.
Right?
So let us know. Put it in the comments what you think.
And I think we'll give it just a minute because I know sometimes when I'm watching live, it'll delay a little bit. Yep. So we'll give it just a minute to hear that. But I like to relate a successful person, a successful life, a successful career, all of those things just in one. You know what I mean? Yeah. A successful relationship, a successful marriage. What
do we mean by successful?
What do you mean by success? And
that's what we wanted to know.
That's
exactly.
Exactly. So
that's a great question.
It's not oftentimes, people feel like success means that you're making a lot of money, but success, just like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? Like you define success for yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So you said what?
That is exactly what we said. Yep.
What defines a successful person?
So and really, what we're trying to do is it's almost like basic training. If you've been in the military, what happens is you go to basic training, and the concept is we're all individuals, and what they do is they break that mindset. And then they build it back up into a moldable, actionable, productive member of the United States military, whatever branch that is. And so what they do is they break down the individual, and they understand that you become a better part of a whole. You become a functioning part of the body, right? And so how do you define that success, right? So what we're talking about is as a successful person is defined in the outside. That is how you define success in your relationship. And so the key is...
the key to what that is and what we meant by asking that question is the difference between and not even thinking about success. You know what I mean? Because that's success is defined by you. We define success by walking in your purpose. Whatever your purpose is, if you fulfill that purpose in life, then you are successful. So if my purpose is to enrich marriages, empower youth, and equip leaders, and I'm doing that, I feel like I'm successful. I can make all the money in the world, and I don't do what I was created and purposed to do, then I still wouldn't be successful, even if I made all the money in the world. So success is, defined by you fulfilling your purpose in life, whatever that may be. Success, a successful person is different from somebody that's unsuccessful by the decisions and the choices and what they do every single day. So the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person is what they do on a daily basis.
And, oftentimes, people will, regardless if you take action or not, people are going to always have something to say. So in your relationship, if you're trying to get better and you're doing daily steps, you're taking actions every day, you are creating that success. You are defining that every day. Mm-hmm. You are creating the environment. You're creating the change. You're creating the relationship that you want. However, people tend to settle. We talk about that a lot. What I did to get Sharita is not going to keep her. And let me explain. I can't rely on the one time I opened the door for her to get in the car and say, well, I opened the door for you one time. I cannot rely on the one time I took her to dinner and say, I paid for dinner one time. You good, right?
Right. And that's what kind of gets us tripped up. So success, being a successful person or unsuccessful person, the difference being what they do every day is the same thing in your relationship. And then, today we're going to be talking about the environment that you want in your relationship, creating that environment. So the difference between a successful relationship and an unsuccessful relationship is also what you do on a daily basis. So that successful relationship and that unsuccessful relationship, the difference is the same thing. It's just what they do on a daily basis. And we want to talk about some things that you can and should do on a daily basis. And again, just like everything me and Christian learn and read and talk about, we look at it and we apply it to our lives. But some of it we may use, some of it we may feel like, hey, it's not for us. But oftentimes we feel like we can do something one time. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work, we're ready to give up.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like if your spouse tries to give you, your spouse knows that, okay, I should be complimenting my wife. I should be supporting my husband. I should be doing certain things for my husband. And I turn around and I do it one time and Christian doesn't give me the response or the reaction.
I'm done.
That I felt like, oh, I'm not doing it no more. I tried one time. You know what I mean? I tried that one time. And you remember 7 months ago when
And in all transparency, that was me. I would, think that I could, I've become more mindful of it, but I felt like, okay, well, I told you were beautiful yesterday. Well, what did I do today? I made sure that I helped with the dishes yesterday, but what did I do today? Mm-hmm. I cannot rely on things of the past. My mentor once said, yesterday ended last night. The things that got you to the win last night are not going to get you the win today. So if you tie it to anything, you have to be consistent. And one of the things that I love is that if you constantly build the right environment, it's going to become an amazing environment because consistency compounds. The more you do it, the better you get at it, the more you enforce it, right? So we're going to talk about a few of those things. And one of the things that I kind of wanted to make sure that we were kind of like tracking is like this week, our big focus is vision, right? And essentially, your vision for your relationship has a lot to do with the environment that you create. Your vision for your marriage is critical because if we decide what we want in our relationship and we know the direction that we want to go, we're able to see when we're off track. So creating the right environment, creating the right state, the right design that we want is going to be directly attributed to what we do on a consistent daily basis.
Absolutely. And unfortunately for us, for all of us, our society, our generation, our television, social media has given us a skewed view of what a relationship is supposed to be like. Oh, I want a Beyonce and Jay-Z, Mr. and Mrs. Carter type relationship. I want, you know what I mean? I want to have a relationship like, this or that person. But what we see on social media, what we see on TV, it's not always what happens behind closed doors. So we have to be real with ourselves, and we have to learn for ourselves what it's going to take to create a successful relationship, a successful marriage. The marriage that you want, you have to design a marriage by design, the marriage that you want, because it's not going to look like what we see on TV all the time. It's not going to just happen. If you want it, you have to create it. You have to make it. And oftentimes, just like everything else, we know what we don't want. And so often when we focus on what we don't want, just subconsciously, we end up doing that thing that we don't want. Like everything, like Christian and I knew what we did not want our marriage to look like. We knew that for a fact. But what we failed to do was have a vision and create that vision that we wanted for our relationship, what we wanted our relationship to look like. We focused on all the things that we don't want in life, in your relationship, in your health, and everything else. And then it's just something that kind of always like steers us in that direction subconsciously, like going towards those things that we don't want. So we want to encourage you. We want to talk about things that we should be looking at, visions and goals that we should be having in different areas of our relationship, so that we can in turn focus on the positive things and move in that direction versus in that opposite negative direction. Right?
Absolutely. And you want to go from creating goals to achieving goals. You want to know without a shadow of a doubt, how can you achieve that goal? And it comes from a burning desire. So what Sharita was talking about is it relates to, Tony Robbins says it like this, where your energy goes, your focus goes, right?
Focus goes.
Your energy flows. Yeah. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So for example, I remember as a kid, I would always be told what not to do, right? And I remember one time I was told, funny story, one time I was told not to go in the kitchen, right? I was told not to go in the kitchen because my mom was making a cake. And it was like yesterday. I was watching Big Top Pee-wee on the couch, sitting there, eating some chicken. As I'm eating this chicken, I'm watching Big Top Pee-wee. Now, I love homemade cake. And so my mom was making cake, and she told me not to go in the kitchen. So if you think about it, she already told me not to go in the kitchen. So my first thought was, why shouldn't I not go in the kitchen? I want to go in the kitchen. And what ended up happening is, what she was trying to do is prevent me from messing up the cake. Back in the day, the stoves were designed that they didn't have lights, and they didn't have all these things like a glass. You had to literally open the stove to check on the cake. However, if you did it too early, the cake would sink. And so, me being fast, she told me 4 or 5 times. And I was just hard-headed. I mean, man, I went in the kitchen and I just had to look at this cake. Come back, I get in so much trouble because I messed up this cake. And what did I do? The one thing that I was told not to do. And that's what we often do in our relationships, on the job, in our daily life. Yep. You got to be careful. So what you want to do is you want to give yourself things to focus on. You want to give yourself targets. You want to give yourself, daily tasks to get you to that bigger vision, that bigger goal, to create in the environment that you desire. So, for us, Sharita does a good job of, organizing our calendar. So she's like, every day, what we're going to do is we're going to spend time as a family here. We're going to spend time individually together here. We're going to work on things separately here. At times we pray together. There's at times we pray individually. There's things that we do. And then she'll also go ahead and say, we have 3 children. So every single one of them needs to have individual time with each of us. Hey, what about workouts? And doing these things so that we are not only being good stewards of what we've been given, but allocating the appropriate amount of time for the things that we desire to create the environment that we want. Because what we don't want is to be physically present, but not mentally here. Like, I cannot come home and say that I'm a good father if I'm not physically present. I need to be present. I can't be here physically, but mentally not here or disconnected. And so you have to create that by, being intentional. So what's on the calendar? What are the things that we need to get done to get there? So we're going to talk about a few quick things to kind of like help you guys understand what we're talking about, right? So the first one is creating an environment that's affirming and reassuring, right? So what does that mean? Sometimes we do things and, for me, one of my love languages is words of affirmation. So I like to know when I do a good job. That helps me know that I'm on the right track. So being able to do that, like, I really appreciate when you do these things. It's very helpful. Oh, wow, that's cool. Hey, it was so awesome that you helped me, fold the laundry yesterday. Oh, cool. Because sometimes we may do things and we may just take it for granted as how it helps the other spouse. Sometimes it's important that we share that with each other because of how much of a difference it makes.
Yeah. I'm laughing at Tori's comment. Tori says, what about if you have 20 kids? LOL. Once you pass a certain amount, like, it don't matter. Like, they can add, 10 more, after you got 3, I feel like it's just like, okay, I can have 5, I can have 7, it don't matter. But I know it's definitely a struggle. Yeah. Chris is saying it so easily, but a lot of things that he does, he makes look easy. You know what I mean? Like, he will do certain things, like he coaches basketball. He's always coached basketball, coached our kids in basketball. And I tried coaching basketball one year because Chris was coaching. This is so funny. Chris was coaching Deontay, and I decided that, okay, I'll coach Jalen's team because they're so used to their dad being their coach. So I'm like, okay, one of their parents, Chris can come to the practice, after Deontay's practice or after he get off work. So I tried coaching it. And, cause I'm always there. When they have practice, I'm the team mom. He's the coach. I'm the team mom. So I was a part of the team. I felt like I was doing it too because he was on the court and he was at the practices and stuff. I almost felt like I was living through him vicariously because I was just like, I was there all the time. He made this look so easy. Do you know I tried to coach Jalen's basketball team, and after that, I have never coached basketball since. Those parents were crazy. Those kids were crazy, and I was done. I'm like, you make this look so easy. And that's oftentimes, what we do. It is a lot of work, Tori. It's definitely a lot of work with kids. We have to be intentional about spending time, with our family. Yes. And it's a task in itself. Like scheduling time. You think that is so easy, but it's scheduling time with every kid. And oftentimes, like, it may be just like 10 minutes. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, you get 10 minutes, you get 10 minutes, you get 10 minutes with just intentional stuff because, you're around the house all the time. You're doing stuff all together. So, with having multiple kids, it's like, okay, hey, we're going to spend time all together. We're going to sit down and we're going to do this devotion all together. We're going to cook all together. We're going to play a family game, watch a movie where everybody's, spending time, but just being intentional because as our boys get older, it's easy for them to just be gone all the time or just be busy all the time. That's why we have to be intentional about spending time with those guys because they're getting older and they have plans. So we have to say, hey, you know what? I'm glad you're spending time with your friends, hanging out with your friends. We want you to. However, you can't do it on Sunday. You can't do it on Thursday because this is the time that we are having family time. And they know that. They will tell their friends, hey, we got plans or I can't hang out this day.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I think sticks out in my mind is my mentor said it like this. We put too much emphasis on tomorrow and not enough on today. And so what you want to do is you want to realize that the little things, the 10 minutes that Sharita talked about, maybe the 15 minutes, the time that we take to play Uno together as a family, the time that we take to cut the grass together, the time that we take to wash the car, change a tire, the time that we take to cook dinner together, maybe make a meal, the time that you take to involve the family, the time that you take to go out for lunch and just, even if it's, all the kids and you just go to lunch or go to the park. Those moments matter. You create so much memories from those moments. I often see people try to give their children the things that they didn't have. And it's a trap. It's a trap. You don't have to try to give your kids what you didn't have. Look at how amazing you turned out. Let me say it again for the people in the back row, maybe the people that listen to the replay. You turned out amazing just the way that you are. So when you think back to things that you didn't have, be grateful for what you do have. Be grateful for what is right now. Gratitude is the best medicine. If you get up every day and you're grateful for the position and the things that you have right now, you will have a lack for nothing. You will have a need for nothing. And so, we share that with you because having a affirming and a reassuring environment is important. When your children come through the door, when your spouse comes through the door and they have a great environment, it's helpful because it's a sad world out there. It's a tough world out there. Tough. People will talk about you. They will, do all these things. And the last thing you need is when you come home to get the same thing.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what, I was going to say. You just kind of took the words out of my mouth. Your kids, your spouse may have a rough day. And the last thing they need is to come home and to have that same pressure, that same criticism that they did on the outside. Like, it's tough. Like, and we say that all the time. Like, we don't know what our kids have gone through at school or going through at school. We try to know, but you know what? They're not going to tell us everything. We're not going to know every single detail of their lives. So it's so important that, we have a reassuring and affirming type of environment. Absolutely. Oftentimes, like, our kids so often, like, will tell us, oh, yeah, you see, I did this or I did that. You know what I mean? Like, just reaffirming the things that they did. So whenever we tell them something, every opportunity we get, hey, I don't care if it's vacuuming your floor, you did a good job with vacuuming your floor. You know what I mean? We try not to make it so, minuscule, but if it's something that, I can give you, I can give you kudos for, then I'm going to try to do it because you went out of your way and you did an extra good job cutting the grass this week. I like how you cleaned the lawnmower off and you put it off and you did this extra step. You organized the stuff that I had messed up in the garage when you put the lawnmower back. Just little things like that to reassure and reaffirm, your spouse, your family members, your kids, and oftentimes yourself. You know what I mean? Because like if you are a single person, you know what I mean? Like you still have to have a positive, environment. You don't want to come home and feel like, negative when you come home or, you know what I mean? Like you're getting down on yourself. Oh, I didn't do the dishes or I didn't do this. So reaffirming, and reassuring yourself because you don't need a significant other to be significant.
And I laugh because, I remember at times like, whenever I'm away on business trips, right? The first thing that I do when I get back to my room is I look in the mirror and I'm like, you did a great job today. And I'm like, sitting here like laughing because like, I do that. Like, I know, and the thing is like, you may get it from your spouse, but what happens that one day that they had a bad day, right? If you are able to come in and be like, good job today, buddy. You did a good job. Yeah. And then you see that your spouse may be having a rough day. You're able to turn around and pick them up. Right. So that's why having a reassuring and an affirming environment is important. Yeah. The next type of things that you want to understand in a relationship is the compromise. Right. A lot of people will say that you don't have to compromise. And there's different thoughts on this. And I'll tell you why it's important to compromise and how to do it. right? Compromise comes when two individuals agree that for the better of the relationship, we're going to try something new, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be like, let's do what I'm doing today, or let's do what you're doing today. It could be, let's try something new, or what would you like to do? I think this is one of the things that Sharita doesn't like, because oftentimes she would like for me to kind of like have a plan of, you know, the things, and she'll be like, and she'll say, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? She's like, seriously, that's why I asked you. What do you want to do? And so, but understanding that that's important, because if it's always what you want to do, then you're never going to know what your spouse really likes, because you're always cutting them off. Right? It's always what I need to do. Always what I need to do. And so just making sure you understand that. Now, go ahead.
Were you going to move on to the next one?
No, I was just going to say, and that leads to kind of like, different things. Maybe going horseback riding. In the Virgin Islands, I remember my godfather, he would take us crabbing.
Hey, Teresa.
My godfather would take us crabbing, and that was pretty cool. So, taking your wife crabbing, taking your wife, skydiving. Well, she may not want to skydive. Doing jet skiing, snorkeling. Man, funny story. So I took Sharita snorkeling.
Seriously?
I took Sharita snorkeling in the Virgin Islands. And there's a fish that's native to the island. And it's called a barracuda. And Sharita saw a barracuda. Now, she loved the snorkeling up until that point. I have never seen Sharita walk on water.
Jesus was calling.
Jesus was calling.
Sometimes he calls us to walk on water.
That barracuda was like, it was far away, but it had turned towards us. I looked back and I was like, what? I mean, she was on the boat. And I'm like, what just happened? But she was willing to try something. She had a really good time. We loved it. I just don't think we'll ever do it again. Right? And so, doing that compromise, doing different things to kind of like, enjoy each other, create those memories and do different things, because you'll learn, so much more about each other that you didn't know before. Like, I didn't know I liked hockey. We went to a hockey game. That was cool. Going to the beach and,
Bye, Tori. Have a good night.
So, just little things like that. And then the last thing, did you want to say something?
Well, I did. I like when you talk about compromise. It just reminded me, because a few days ago we did a live about being selfish or selfless, in your relationship. And that compromise kind of falls along the lines of being, are you selfish or are you selfless in your relationship? So I like what you said in regards to not knowing if your spouse likes something. If you're always the one that's making the decision, or you're always the one that gets your way in a relationship, or we always go to your restaurant, we always do the things that you want to do. You're never going to know your spouse likes. It's going to come a time when somebody's going to ask you, hey, what's your spouse's favorite movie? Or we don't know, because we don't ever go see their movie.
All we watch is shark movies.
All we watch is shark movies. We always see what I want to see, or we always see what you want to see. So you'll never know like what their favorite dish is, what their favorite activity is, what they enjoy. So that's why it's so important to have that compromise in a relationship, because again, you're not going to find somebody that's exactly like you. Like, I don't want Cris to be a clone, you know what I mean? Like of me. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be married to myself. As much as I love myself, I don't want to be married to myself. I want somebody that compliments me. I want somebody that, adds value to me and leverages my strengths and weaknesses, so that we can be a good team together. Like we talked about it being, a couple, two people, a husband and a wife being like an omelet. You know what I mean? Like you use 2 eggs.
Hey, Austin.
Like you got to have 2 good eggs. Otherwise, when you make an omelet, it's still going to be a bad omelet.
It's going to be
Even
bad.
if 1 egg is good and 1 egg
real bad
isn't good, it's still going to be a bad omelet. So the last one was encouragement.
Absolutely. Encouragement and teamwork.
Encouragement and teamwork.
And so, when you encourage your spouse, right? There's nothing. So how do you know somebody needs encouragement? All right. So put in the comments, how do you know somebody needs encouragement? I heard a guy once say, when you walk through the crowd, if you can acknowledge everybody, if you can, call them out by name, it's powerful. You know, a name is one of the most important things that you can remember for a person. Mm-hmm. But how do you know somebody needs encouragement? And the answer is easy. If they're breathing, they need encouragement, right? So, you know, just letting somebody know what you like. You know, I often, will like walk around and just, give Sharita a little like massage, and then she'll be like, can you keep doing that? And then, I'll, doing that, and then letting, I know she likes it, so I'll do it. And then she'll say, can you keep doing that? I really need that right now. Sometimes she'll ask me to rub my feet. Just different things that you can do to encourage your spouse and let them know that that you love them, that you value them, that you appreciate them. So encouraging the things that you like, encouraging the things that you enjoy. Hey, I really enjoyed going to the fair with you today. Can we do that again sometime? Oh, I didn't know you liked that as much as I did. Or, I really enjoyed going to the mall with you today with just us. Little things like that. That way they know, okay, nugget, yes. Let me keep that in my head so that I know next time we can do that. Right.
Because your spouse can't read your mind. You know what I mean? As much as we think that they can, both ways, whether, husband or wife, male or female, like nobody's psychic. Like, so you have to let your spouse know what you like in order for them to keep doing that. Like, if you don't ever say, oh, I like that meal, or I like it when you do X, Y, and Z, then they won't know. Like, if you want it, you got to tell them, like, I'm going to help you, help me. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
That's basically what it boils down to. You have to help your spouse in order to help yourself,
and that leads to teamwork. Like, hey, one of the things that I have tried to get better at is instead of thinking Sharita needs to tell me or I need to be a psychic and identify certain things, I'll say, hey, sweetheart, what do you need help with? And then she'll say, let's do this together, right? Hey, let's clean the kitchen together. Hey, let's, get the kids down so that we can have some quality time together. Like little things like that are important. That's called communication. COMMUNICATION.
Did you have to spell the whole
yes,
thing out like that?
Because a lot of people forget to communicate. You want me to spell communicate as well?
No,
okay. All right. So I've been working on my spelling. So if that was spelled wrong, don't worry about it. The SP in the top right hand corner over here with a little circle and the dash through is off. So if I spell it wrong, it's okay.
Give you some encouragement.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. And as they would say in Japan, daijubu. That means it's all good. Right? So just like asking for help is one of the most humble things that you can do in your relationship. You don't have to do it all alone. We try to. We want to. We want to show our worth in a relationship, but you don't have to. Yep. I value you, which is why I want to help you. Because what you don't want is your wife, your husband to be run down at night when it's time for quality time. Right? They can't be struggling because they've been doing everything by themselves. And now I'm speaking to me, I'm speaking to the men. Like, you cannot let your spouse do everything and then you want her to come to bed at night and be excited about, spending time with you. That body's tired. Them eyelids are going to be heavy and them shoulders are going to be heavy. So if you want to have amazing relationship, you want to have excellent intimacy in your relationship, help.
Be a team.
Yeah.
And it's
collaborate.
It's so important to just have that kind of mentality and mindset about absolutely everything in your relationship. Just, a mindset of this being a team. Like, we are trying to, do a better job at teaching our kids about this team thing. Like, we are a team. Like, if we're successful, you're successful. If you're successful, I'm successful. Like, we're not going to move forward without each other. Like, everything that we do, we're going to do as a team. And it even goes to the work that Christian does. You know what I mean? Like, he has a different job than I have, but at his job, if he has an event, if he has a project that he's working on, even though that's his job, I'm going to help him. I'm going to sit down and say, hey, Cris, how can I help you with this? If you got to do this big project at work, what can I do? Even if it's just me transcribing something, let me help you. If I have an event or something to do at work, Christian is there helping me. I tell my boys, hey, I have an event to do this Friday.
Let's go.
Y'all gonna help me set up. We're gonna do this together, because guess what? When it all goes back to what Christian said, when it all gets done, then we all got time to have family time. We all have time to sit down and do stuff together, because this one person isn't burnt out from their job or doing whatever it is that they need to do. So teamwork, I like that. Hashtag team.
Yeah, we're better together. Like, you got to understand that, you can go faster alone, but you can go further with a team.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
You can go as fast as you want. And when you look back, you're going to have nobody around you.
Yeah.
But if you want to go further, you want to have more fulfillment. You want to have, people around you when you get there, do it as a team. So today we talked about not only the vision that you need to have for your relationship, we talked about the environment, making sure that it's reassuring and affirming, right? We talked about compromising your relationship, the right way to compromise. We also talked about encouragement and teamwork. Make sure that you apply these principles. Now, these are principles that you need to apply to your relationship to make sure that it's successful. Principles don't change, right? Principles don't change. They apply to every relationship. They apply to everybody.
Good or bad.
So just make sure that you understand this. So the question for you tonight is, what are you doing daily to improve your relationship?
And remember, guys, to focus on the things that you want.
Yes.
We often focus on what we don't want. And in turn, we kind of subconsciously are moving in that direction. So focus on the things that you do want in your relationship.
So where your focus goes, your energy flows. All right. So good night, guys.
Yep.
And as always, go out and dominate your space.